Some objects outlive their explanations. What does that even mean? To outlive something implies a competition, a race through time where one entity persists while another fades away. But an explanation isn't a physical thing. It's a story, a framework of understanding a collection of facts and logic that we apply to the world around us. So how can an inert, non-living object, a collection of paper or a slab of clay, defeat an idea? How can something so tangible, so present, so here, become a ghost, haunted not by a spirit, but by the gaping absence of its own story, its own why? It's a peculiar kind of survival, isn't it? Case file MS-408. That's its designation in the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University. But the world knows it by a different name, the Voynich Manuscript. The object itself is unassuming. A small codex, roughly 240 vellum pages, though some are missing. Its physical properties are one of the few things we know for certain. In 2009, researchers were granted permission to take tiny samples from 4 separate pages. The verdict of the accelerator mass spectrometer was unequivocal. The vellum was produced sometime between the years 1404 and 1438. This isn't a modern forgery, at least not in its materials. This is a genuine artifact of the early 15th century. The ink is another story. Polarized light microscopy, X-ray spectroscopy, iron gall ink, oak galls, vitriol, gum arabic, water. Crucially, analysis shows the ink was applied contemporaneously to the vellum's creation. The writing wasn't added centuries later to an old blank book. The words and the pages are partners in time, born together in the same historical moment. But what words are they? That is where certainty ends and the true mystery begins. The script matches no known language, living or dead. It is, for all intents and purposes, utterly alien to our understanding. The manuscript is not just text. It is filled, page after page, with illustrations, botanical drawings, astronomical and astrological charts, suns and moons with human faces, zodiac symbols, biological diagrams, tubes and pools populated by dozens of small, naked women, bathing, perhaps some unknown ritual. The images should provide context, a key to the text. Instead, they only deepen the enigma. Where there is a code, there is a code breaker. The history of the 20th century is a history of cryptography. William and Elizabeth Friedman spent years trying to crack it, and failed. The NSA formed study groups, techniques from simple substitution to polyalphabetic systems, statistics, Zipf's law, all pointed to language-like structure, yet not a single word could be translated. Internally, they called it the one that got away. The manuscript is a graveyard for cryptographers, a monument to the limits of analysis, where every tool we've invented has been tried and broken. Theories of the unreadable. If it isn't a simple code, what else could it be? A persistent theory, glossolalia, language-like flow that is in fact meaningless. A trance-made book of sounds, not words. Beautiful, intricate, and empty of faith or madness. Another possibility, a hoax. But the detail is staggering. An invented system, hundreds of illustrations, a book's worth of expensive vellum. This would be a life's work for dubious payoff, or exactly what it looks like. A medical or herbal manual, possibly women's health, balneotherapy. Stylized plants, lost or minority language, or healer's shorthand. The unsettling blend, a constructed language created for fraud, consistent enough to seem real, with no underlying meaning. A simulacrum of knowledge. Section 4, the digital ghost. The entire manuscript is online. A digital ghost haunting the internet. A participatory puzzle. Theories born on Reddit, analyses on blogs, debates on Discord. A cultural touchstone, a meme for the unsolvable. The line between research and fantasy blurs. It's a road shack. People see aliens, a lost tribe of Israel, secrets of Da Vinci, validating conspiracy and wild guess alike. Too structured to be random gibberish, too strange for a known language, too old and complex for a simple hoax, too nonsensical for straightforward science. It denies a category, stubbornly, beautifully other. It is the ghost in the machine of human knowledge, a 600-year-old question mark we can't stop looking at. And it's not the only object that seems to carry a will of its own. Some things don't just resist understanding, they seem to resist destruction. Section 1. Incident Reports. The Blazing Homes. Incident Report Log. 1985 to 1988. Northern England. A peculiar pattern begins to emerge across multiple fire departments in the Yorkshire region and beyond. Anecdotal chatter after tough shifts. A house fire. Chip pan, faulty appliance, homes gutted, families left with nothing. Amidst blackened rubble, something untouched. A single object face up, sometimes still hanging, miraculously preserved. A mass-produced print, a young cherubic boy with large tear-filled eyes, the crying boy. Sold across the UK in the 60s and 70s, millions printed. Finding one wasn't unusual. Finding one as the sole survivor was, not once, twice, a dozen times, over 50 times according to tabloids. The story broke. Blazing Curse of the Crying Boy. Yorkshire firefighter Peter Hall. He'd seen the prince survive numerous fires. A local curiosity became a national panic. Victims came forward. Their crying boy survived flames too. The narrative was set, not just a painting, an omen, a fire starter. The legend grew with each retelling, and an orphan's tormented spirit, the artist's pact with the devil. Unsubstantiated, but an explanation where none existed. A ticking time bomb on British walls. In the midst of the public panic, calmer voices tried to intervene. Scientists, art experts, fire investigators, not canvases, high-volume prints on compressed hardboard, dense and chemically treated, prone to smolder, not ignite. The string burns first, the print falls early, face down. Fires consume top down. The floor is coolest, back scorched, front shielded, thick, fire-retardant varnish, a glossy layer of protection. Board, fall, varnish, a composite shielding effect. Suddenly survival looks expected, not miraculous. The curse looks like chemistry and physics. Strongest explanation, survivorship bias. We notice in millions printed means some survive by chance. The rest aren't news. Rational stats meant little on scene. Repeated eerie sights feel like a pattern. Lore bonds, risky professions. The sun created panic, then mass bonfires to destroy prints. Theatrical exorcism, a masterclass in populist myth-making. Giovanni Brogolin, a pseudonym for Bruno Amadio. Orphan and devil tales likely fabricated. The legend eclipsed reality. Why believe in curses? Randomness terrifies. A curse offers story and rules. Apophenia and confirmation bias do the rest. The fire was real. The curse was a collective delusion, a coping folklore. What is the value of a warning? In 2003, an item appeared on eBay, a simple wine cabinet listed by Kevin Manis. A story, Havela, a Polish Holocaust survivor, owned it until age 103, bought at her estate sale. A warning, do not open it. It contained, she said, a dipperk. A what? We'll get to that. The warning wasn't a deterrent, it was the selling point. The listing chronicled unsettling events. He gave it to his mother. 5 minutes later, she suffered a stroke. Others returned it within days. Strange occurrences, dread, foul odors. The warning became a user manual for haunting. He wasn't selling a cabinet. He was selling a story, a curse, a question. How much would you pay to be haunted? The answer, $280. What does it feel like to be haunted? Owners report a cloying jasmine scent, followed by cat urine, appearing without source. Disembodied whispers in empty rooms. electronics inexplicably failing, lights flicker and burn out. Most chilling, a human-shaped shadow at the edge of vision. Look directly and it's gone. Pareidolia can explain it. Repetition makes it feel real. Recurring nightmares. The second owner, Josef Nietzsche, blogged of an ancient hag tormenting him nightly. Hair falling out, welts, fatigue. Jason Haxton claimed a strange skin condition that cleared only after consulting rabbis. The narrative escalated, from smells and shadows to harm. The box became an active aggressor, a source of paranormal sickness that defied explanation. To understand the fear, what is a dybbuk? In Jewish folklore and mysticism, a dybbuk, from to cling, is a malicious, dislocated soul, a parasitic entity causing anguish, erratic behavior, ailments. Traditionally, it possesses a person, not an object. A dybbuk in a box is unusual, an internet-era innovation, a portable, sellable prison. Skeptics argue surface-level mysticism and a marketing narrative. The Holocaust seance origin has timeline inconsistencies, difficult to reconcile. Why did it go viral? The early internet's architecture, eBay seed, blogs, and forums as soil, and our desire to participate. Nietzsche's blog created a live drama. People weren't just reading, they were watching it happen. By sharing, you enact the legend, digital ostension. Do not open applies to the JPEG and blog post. Clicking the link opens the box. Debunking attempts meet personal testimony. The smells, the nightmares, the shadow. The debate becomes part of the myth. Ultimately, the dybbuk box is modern myth-making, estate sale to eBay, to museum to Hollywood. The spirit may be disputed, but the story has possessed our collective imagination. In 1908, at the Minoan Palace of Phaistos, Luigi Pernier found something unique. A small disc of fired clay, 15 centimeters across, stamped on both sides in a spiral. 242 impressions from 45 unique stamps. Ancient movable type. A script unlike anything, not linear A or B. Found in a temple depository destroyed by quake and fire. Nearby linear A fragment. Scholars stare at pictographs, a plumed head, a ship, a bee, a running man with no frame of reference, a spiral of silence. From a scientific perspective, terracotta, stable firing, clay consistent with Crete. Microscopy shows masterfully carved stamps, likely wood or ivory. Symbols grouped by vertical lines, 31 sections on side A, 30 on B. Cadence of language. Overlaps show it reads from rim inward. Planned layout, no cramping near center. We have a unique, stamped pictographic script from Minoan Crete, c. 1700 BCE, read right to left, spiraling inward. A data point of 1. In science, 1 point is an anomaly. In archaeology, an anomaly can span generations. Most accept it as genuine. Its strangeness measures how much we've yet to learn. It waits in Heraclean, a simple object holding complex secrets just out of reach. What if we look with the soul of a poet, a spiral, journey, cycles, cosmos, not a ledger, a map of the soul, symbols as sigils, protection, safe voyage, read aloud as chant, a hymn baked into clay. Others propose a mother goddess prayer, a board game, a treaty, an astronomical calendar. Many keys, none turn the lock. A forgery by Pernier? Unlikely. Techniques align with Minoan craft. Most scholars accept it as genuine. We need more text. A single page of an unknown language is impossible to understand. The disc stands for every lost library, burned scroll, and extinct language. The ultimate cold case. So, a cursed box and a silent disc. What do they share? Missing information. A story with no author, a warning with no context, a message with no key. The dybbuk box lives between fact and fear, power from gaps in its biography. The Phaistos disc, Object clear, meaning void. We are pattern seeking. When incomplete, imagination fills the void. We become co-authors, each owner, blog post, theory, and viewer adding a line. What about the crystal skulls, the Perry race map, the Devil's Bible, the Codex Gigas? The world is a museum of unanswered questions. So, what artifact should we investigate next? And which of these would you never, ever keep in your house? And why? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.